These stories coming out today about nurses who, from the Royal College of Nursing, who are complaining that they cannot do their job with patients being parked in corridors. Uh, this is about a demoralised staff with trying to negotiate up to 40 patients in a corridor in a hospital, women miscarriaging, people dying who've been waiting in a corridor for 6 hours. This is inadequate. This is inappropriate. This isn't a health service. This is a mortuary, and it's wrong. And if the present government can't manage to repair the health service, then it probably needs to resign and let someone else do the job. This needs priority care, and it doesn't really matter whether you are registered with private healthcare or with or relying on the NHS. The health care in Britain at the moment doesn't work, and it should make people very anxious indeed, because it's a lottery about whether or not you even get seen. If you have a crisis at home, it's almost impossible to get to a hospital unless you have someone to drive, unless you can get a taxi. That's almost impossible as well. The systems on which we rely in an emergency don't work, and that's been the case for a couple of years, a good 3 years or 4 years, and it's certainly the case. It's certainly the case now. It's got very bad, and the reports from nurses are harrowing. There's a quote here. It took a further 2 hours to get her into an adequate care space to make her clean and comfortable. That's a human being, someone in the last hours of their life in the middle of a corridor with a detoxing patient vomiting and being abusive behind them, and a very poorly patient in front of them who is confused, screaming in pain. It was awful on the family, and it was awful on the patient. The point is, you've only got one option. There's only one time. For people who are dying or seriously ill, there's one opportunity. You can't say, oh, well, we'll get it better next time. I, I've been in hospital twice in the NHS, and it was, you know, the care was botched on both occasions. And, oh, the care was lovely on both occasions, actually, but the process was botched on both occasions. Not by the doctors or the nurses, but by the bureaucrats who overruled what was going on. And I don't think I want to wait for a third occasion. And the first occasion was routine, and you start to wonder. This rot goes back some time, but certainly post COVID, post Brexit, we don't seem capable of caring. I'd love to know if you think I'm being unfair, but in a corridor there isn't a dedicated place to plug in computers, to plug in machinery. Space is being repurposed into care space, and the space cannot be anything other than unsafe. If the space in an actual ward is unsafe, which in my experience it has been, how much more unsafe it will be in a corridor. I went to A&E a few times before Christmas, And even once one got through the waiting room, we found ourselves in a corridor, and the nurses and the staff didn't have a room for treating the people who were being triaged in there. The first time we were sent back into the room, and the second time, I think we went from place to place. We've effectively treated in a corridor. It cannot be right. And there are 32,000 nursing vacancies in England, and nurses, like teachers, are leaving the profession within 5 years of qualifying. Why? Because the quality of life in a hospital is simply unendurable. And that's not down to the quality of the nursing or the quality of the doctoring. It's down to the bureaucracy that pays so much money to managers and pen pushers, doesn't pay enough money to the people who are actually doing the work, doesn't ensure the space is available, and is more concerned with the next piece of rhetoric than the next reality. And if you can't do your job, you might as well resign. And that is what people are doing. There are people, only last week, a nurse was stabbed and left with life-changing injuries. She was stabbed by a man at work. The NHS, I'm quoting here, the NHS used to be the envy of the world, and we need to take a long, hard look at ourselves and say what needs to change. The biggest concern for us is the place is starting to lose a little faith in their care, and the public is starting to lose a little faith in their care, and that has to stop. We absolutely have to sort this out. And this isn't about a tough winter. This is about an ongoing development where the wrong people are paid a lot, there's not enough money to go round, and the people who are actually doing the work and the space where they're doing the work aren't being given priority.